Mother, I thank you and I praise your name. You give me strength and you light my way. Through your grace and your guiding hand, I live.
We then come to another really beautiful detail in the story. They arrive in the town and they're going to go in and have a meal. And we're told that Jesus made as if to go on. It looks like he's about to keep walking away, continue on his journey. But they invite him in. They invite him in. And here's part of that interplay, that mysterious weaving together of Jesus' initiative, of God's initiative with us and our response. And it's a mysterious interplay of the two things. Because at this point, that invitation matters. They say, no, come and have a meal with us. Part of the way we might understand this is about Jesus' exquisite respect for our freedom. He's not going to force himself upon us, but he invites us to invite him, as it were. You remember in the book of Revelation, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone invites me in, I will come in and I will dine with them. Part of God's mysterious providence is that because he wants us to be free in our response to him, is he gives us the opportunity to invite him in. So they do that. They invite him in, and then he takes charge. It's really mysterious in the story because he's the guest. They've invited him, but then he takes charge and he begins the prayer of blessing over the bread. Now that prayer of blessing is a prayer that Jesus would have done with his disciples virtually every day for the whole time that he was with them. It's not so much referring directly to the Passover meal, but the simple extended grace, you might call it, that would happen when a Jew prayed before every meal, particularly the evening meal. So as he does that and he breaks the bread, they recognize him. My favourite picture of this in the history of Western art is from Caravaggio. So his painting, The Supper at Emmaus, is in the London Gallery, in the centre of London. You have this is the moment that Caravaggio has captured. It's the moment of recognition. You've got Jesus in the centre and the bread's broken before him. And then you have these two disciples, and one of them is an older man, and he has his hands out like this, and his face is just transfixed at that point as he realizes that it's him. They realize, and we're told here, it ties in very beautifully to our theme, their eyes were opened. Their eyes were opened. So this is the great miracle of the Eucharist, really. That at this moment, their eyes are opened and he is present to them. They realize it's him. And at that moment, he vanishes. And again, you have that elusive presence and seeming absence of God at work there, which is our experience, is it not? Just when you expect him to show up, he doesn't appear to, and then when you don't expect him to, he does. Is that not part of our experience in the life of faith? So just at the moment when they realize it's him, he's gone. And doesn't that ring deeply true with our experience of our encounter with God? And of course, at that moment, they get up and they make a U-turn. They head straight back to Jerusalem. Straight back to trouble. Straight back to trouble. Straight back to trial, ultimately to their deaths. But they do that U-turn that we call conversion. They've turned around Remember, their faces had been downcast. They'd lost hope. Now all of a sudden they can't get back to Jerusalem fast enough because they've met him. They know that the women's story is true. What had been their story has become the story of these two disciples. It's no longer something that they can recite objectively. There's some data about this guy Jesus, who was a great guy, was crucified, and the women in our group have a story about about the tomb being empty. No, they know he's risen. They know he's alive. And so they've got to go back and they've got to share that. They've got to say it's true.
Everything within my life you have touched and you've made it bright. And though I sail through the storm, you're in the boat, keeping me from harm. And you give us peace.